63% of digital transformations fail. Not because the technology was wrong, because the business model couldn't sustain it. You've seen it happen. A Fortune 500 company deploys cutting-edge cloud infrastructure. They invest millions in AI and automation. 6 months in, adoption stalls. Teams revert to old workflows. The system sits there, expensive and unused. Why? Because nobody redesigned how the business actually works. Your IT team built you a Ferrari, but your organization is still structured like a horse and cart. The technology can't fix what the business architecture broke. This is the blind spot killing enterprises across Singapore, India, and the entire Asia-Pacific region right now. According to McKinsey's 2025 Global AI Survey, 72% of organizations that invested heavily in AI lacked the organizational structure to operationalize it. They had the tools. They didn't have the operating model. And here's what makes it worse. Executives blame the technology. They don't realize the real problem was decided in the boardroom, not the data center. In the next 8 minutes, you'll learn why business architecture is the invisible blueprint that determines whether your strategy actually gets executed. We're not talking about org charts or reporting lines. We're talking about how value flows through your organization, how decisions get made, where power actually sits, and why your best technology investments are being strangled by invisible friction. We'll walk through 3 core misalignments that are costing companies hundreds of millions right now. You'll see how Infosys redesigned their internal structure to capture a 34% efficiency gain in 2025. You'll understand why a mid-market tech company in Bangalore is outpacing competitors 5 times its size, and you'll get a clear framework to audit your own business architecture before your next transformation project. By the end, you'll know exactly what to ask your leadership team before you spend another dollar on technology. First insight. Business architecture is the master template for technology architecture. Here's the distinction that most organizations miss. Technology architecture is how systems talk to each other. Business architecture is how value gets created and delivered. Technology serves business architecture, not the other way around. When you reverse that, everything breaks. Gartner's 2025 Enterprise Architecture Report found that organizations with a documented business architecture achieved 2.3 times faster time to market for new initiatives compared to those without. Think about that. Not because they had better servers. Because they understood the shape of their own business. First look at what happened at Singapore's DBS Bank in 2024 and 2025. They didn't start their digital transformation with technology procurement. They started by mapping their business model. Where did money actually flow? What decisions had to happen first? What parts of the organization could work independently? What parts had hidden dependencies? Once that architecture was clear, technology became a tool to support it, not the driver of it. They were able to move faster not because they deployed more AI, but because the organization was structured to make decisions without creating bottlenecks. Here's how you apply this today. Before your next technology initiative, map 3 things. 1. The value chain from customer need to payment. 2. The decision dependencies that must happen for that value chain to execute. 3. Where those decisions currently live in your organization and how long they take. If technology doesn't directly address a decision bottleneck or a value leak in that map, question whether you should buy it. Second insight. Misaligned incentives neutralize every dollar you spend on transformation. This is where business architecture lives or dies. You can have perfect technology, But if the people using it are rewarded for doing something different, the technology loses every time. Recent research from Deloitte's 2025 Digital Maturity Assessment showed that 58% of failed transformations happened in organizations where compensation structures remained unchanged. Salespeople were still measured on quarterly revenue, even though the new business model required longer-term customer partnerships. Operations teams were still graded on cost reduction, even though the new strategy required investment in customer experience. Finance was still optimized for margin, even though the business model had shifted to volume and ecosystem revenue. The technology was fine. The business architecture was in conflict with itself. Look at what one mid-size business services firm in Mumbai did differently. They realized their transformation was failing because their regional leaders had no incentive to share customer data across territories. The systems were built for data sharing, but the bonus structure rewarded hoarding. So they rebuilt their business architecture by restructuring how regional leaders got compensated. Revenue attribution changed. Decision rights changed. Team structures changed. The same technology that had failed suddenly worked, because the business architecture was now aligned with it. Here's the application. In your next board meeting, ask this question. If we transformed exactly as planned, which incentives would become misaligned? Ask every function head. Finance, sales, operations, technology, human resources. Then ask, are we prepared to change those incentives? Or are we fooling ourselves about this transformation? Most boards don't ask that question because it forces an uncomfortable answer. Third insight. Organizational capability gaps are business architecture problems, not hiring problems when transformation stalls. The reflexive answer is always the same. We need better people. Hire more data scientists. Bring in a consulting firm. Find a change management expert. Sometimes that's true. Most times, it's a symptom of a business architecture problem. According to the World Economic Forum's 2026 Future of Jobs report, organizations with intentionally designed capability pipelines and clear skill workflows outpaced their competition by 2.8 years in capability maturity. Not because they hired better people, because they built business architectures that developed, deployed, and scaled capability systematically. Here's a concrete example. A large financial services organization in Singapore had access to exceptional data science talent, but their data scientists spent 60% of their time managing data requests, navigating competing priorities, and waiting for IT approvals. The business architecture was broken. Decision rights were unclear. Data governance was a gate, not a support function. So they were effectively paying premium talent to do administrative work. When they restructured their business architecture, they clarified data ownership by business unit, created a federated data governance model, and gave data scientists clear, autonomous decision rights over their domain. Same people, same skills, same company. Suddenly they had 40% more capacity doing what they were actually hired to do. Here's what you do. Audit your best people, the ones you don't want to lose. Track where their time actually goes for 4 weeks. If more than 30% of it is spent navigating organizational friction, waiting for approvals, or managing competing priorities, you don't have a talent problem. You have a business architecture problem. Fix the architecture first, then hiring makes sense. Imagine the state of your organization when business architecture is right. Decisions move fast. Not because people work faster, but because decision rights are clear and authority is distributed to where information lives. A product leader can make a call about feature prioritization without needing approval from 3 levels up. They have context. They have mandate. The decision happens in days, not months. Value flows to customers predictably. Not because everyone is working harder, but because there are no invisible handoffs where work gets stuck. An engineer's work reaches a customer. It doesn't sit in a queue, doesn't wait for cross-functional alignment, doesn't get blocked by organizational politics. When business architecture is right, work moves like water finding its path downhill. Capability compounds. New talent doesn't spend 6 months learning organizational politics. They plug into a clear role, understand their decision authority, see how their work connects to strategy, and contribute immediately. Over time, this compounds. The organization gets better at absorbing and deploying talent. Technology amplifies instead of disappoints. When you deploy new systems, they work because the business is ready for them. Adoption is fast, ROI is measurable. You're not trying to force a new system onto an old operating model. The business architecture is already shaped to benefit from the technology. This is not theoretical. This is what happens when executives stop treating business architecture as something that happens in the background and start treating it as a first-order strategic investment. If you're sitting in this video and recognizing one of these misalignments in your own organization, you're already ahead of 80% of executives in your peer group. Most won't even name the problem. Here's what to do next. Share this video with your Chief Technology Officer. Then ask them this question. Has anyone explicitly mapped our business architecture separately from our technology architecture? Push them. Press them. Because if the answer is no, then every transformation you're planning is running with a. Thanks for listening. If you found this valuable, please subscribe to Apex Minds D4J for more powerful insights. See you in the next one.